Now we're playing with Starfire. My, how they stare. Let's end this on a high note. None shall tread upon the stars. Never stand in the path of a star.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm gonna show you how to play Aurelion Sol today. He's a pretty unique champion, both when it comes to the design but also the playstyle. So his passive are these orbiting stars that rotate at a certain speed around him, and they deal damage, and they also execute very low HP minions, so you avoid having these minions survive with like no HP and then dying to your minions. And your W is going to make it so you expand your stars, and they also increase the damage of them. So when you expand the stars with your W, that is called the outer limit, and that's really important later on, because your Q and your ultimate is connected to it. So with your W, you can play aggressive against a melee champion. The goal here when you play Aurelion Sol is that you maneuver properly around the enemy champion, so you make sure that the stars always hit the enemy champion in the fight. You have to be really good at like kiting back and forth. So your Q is this AoE ability that travels with you. So as long as this ability is within the outer limit, then it can keep traveling. And when it keeps traveling, then it will increase in size. So if you like travel from the base and to the lane, then this Q ability can end up covering the entire lane. And then it also stuns people, and this ability is going to explode either when you recast it or when it travels beyond the outer limit. And you can always see the outer limit if you hover the cursor over the W or if you use the W. So that's something you should definitely keep in mind. The problem with Aurelion Sol here is that his playstyle is pretty unique. You have to put in a lot of games before you can really master him. He's different compared to every other champion we have in League. And then his passive stars that orbit around him. You cannot camp in bushes because of this passive here. It will always make sure that you're revealed. So even if the opponents don't have a ward in the bush, they can always see the stars orbiting around you. So do not try to camp in the bush because you will be revealed. And then we have the E, so that's like a roaming ability that allows you to take flight and then cover a massive distance. You can use your Q inside that E, and that is how you get that massive Q. That massive Q is something you can use when you want to engage a fight, because like you can hit the entire or cover the entire lane, allowing you to maybe hit the entire enemy team as well. So you want to farm with your W. If you want to push it fast, then position yourself on the side of the wave, so your W hits as many minions as possible. This W ability increases the rotating speed of the stars as well, but it also passively empowers the damage. So like the stars damage when you don't use the W, that will also be empowered. So we ended up trading 1-for-1 here. That is completely fine because he's gonna lose a lot of CS. So because we are playing against an AD assassin, we're gonna get the Seeker Vanguard. Zed is a very difficult matchup for Aurelion Sol. So it's a given that we get some armor early on. So Aurelion Sol, the goal of this champion is that he focuses on shoving the wave and then he roams. That is what he wants to do, because with his E he can like get past walls and stuff, but it will reveal you. Like if people are nearby, then they can always see you. But he's designed to be a powerful roaming champion, so that's what you want to abuse. So your Q can actually be recasted pretty fast, so when you play against something like a Zed, then you want to save it. So when he ults, that's when you want to Q behind yourself, and that can end up stunning him, and if you do that, then he will not be able to abuse his ultimate as effectively. So now we got the ultimate up. What it does is that it's like a long range AoE damaging ability, and if people who are far away from you, they will take damage and they will be slowed, but people who are inside the outer limit, they will get knocked back too. So it can be used to like to create some distance between yourself and the enemy champion. If someone tries to engage onto you, and then you can like follow that up with a Q. And that is that ultimate coming in right there, as you can see. So it's very good for like stopping people from escaping, but if they're already in melee range, then you can use it to knock them back. And as I said, it's very important that you know about the outer limit, and that is the, when your stars expand with your W, that is the outer limit. So if they're inside that, when you use your ultimate, they will get knocked back to that limit. And you can combine that with your Q. If you do that, that's going to apply a lot of CC to them, and that can like help you keep the distance so they don't get too close to you. Because if they do that, then they're gonna out DPS you most of the time. So his playstyle is pretty unique because you have to play around the orbiting stars. So the goal honestly is that you constantly keep the enemy champions at a certain distance, and that distance is the outer limit. Because you want to like keep hitting them with a W, and then you want to make sure they're also not able to like gap close. So you have to be really good at kiting, and that's also why Ryla's Crystal Scepter is the first core component you're getting, because that makes it easier for you to like keep them at that distance. Also, one thing I did not mention is that when your W finishes casting, or when you like recast your W to like retract the stars, then you get this burst of movement speed. You can use this to like chase people, but you can also use this to kite or run away. So going for the first roam here, did not have to use the E, because we already managed to get a good flank off. So we are not getting any assist here, unfortunately. But you can see if you use your E and Q like this, guys, you can keep traveling, and that Q size is going to be massive. And it can keep increasing in size. So if you use it like from the base to the middle of the lane, then it's gonna cover the entire lane. And that can be really good to do when the enemy champions are grouped up. But when you roam, you don't want to do that, because like it's pretty risky to do, and it's also somewhat easy to dodge if you're like coming from the side. So when you roam, you just want to use your E in, only the E. And then you can use the Q once you are at your destination. The show and roam is usually what you do, but like since they changed Aurelion Soul to the point where you cannot keep your W up permanently, his playstyle is a bit different now, so he cannot shove as easily, so you also have to spend a lot more time in the lane. So this right here is what I told you guys about, and also what's really important is that again, something like an AD assassin like this side, then it's important that you save your Q, because like without your ultimate, that is the only CC you have. So as long as you have your Q up and they try to engage like this, against him for example, you can Q behind you and then use your ultimate, knock him into the tower, and bam, that guy is done. And that is the long range EQ combo you can do. You can also use your Q inside your E. Picking up a couple kills here, we're gonna start itemizing into the Rylas. You do this because it's really important that you constantly kite people around, and without slows that's pretty difficult, so that's why Rylas comes in. Also, he's not as mana hungry early on, because we have Time Warp Tonic, we have Biscuits, and we have the Corrupting Potion, so that is enough sustain for the early game, and that is what allows us to go for Rylas before we get the mana item. So like a basic combo, guys, is that you W, hit them with the stars, and then follow up with the auto attacks as well, and that's gonna give you a really easy electrocute proc. So you go for short trades like this in the lane, and then you can also follow up with the Q, but make sure that if you're playing against a mobile champion, then save that Q. Save it for when they try to engage, and then you can use this to like stop them, get a quick electrocute proc, and then you back off. Constantly hovering around the bot lane and the mid lane here, so if there's a good opportunity for us to roam, then we will do so. Do not waste your ultimate either, and you can see the damage, the W damage is scaling up pretty nicely now. It barely did anything in the early game, but as you get fully maxed out W, then the star rotating speed and also the damage is going to become a lot better. And your ultimate, especially later on in the game, the way you want to line it up, you can use it as single target burst damage, but you can also use it to like hit multiple people at once. Like the slow is really nice to have. It's not a lot of burst damage, like the damage is decent, but it's mostly used as utility. Either you knock back people so you prevent them from engaging on top of you, or you slow them so you can engage with your teammates. But always keep in mind of the fast engage combo, and we have a sec engaging here, so look at how I'm positioning. I'm not walking all the way in here, staying back like a DPS mage, even though we are not one. We have like burst and utility. There's a pretty confusing playstyle that Aurelion Sol, the current one, has, and that's why he's getting reworked at some point. I think it was this year, but I'm not sure. And yes, I will make a new guide when that happens, but I have not made an Aurelion Sol guide, so here we go, because some people have requested it, so had to make one eventually, so here it is. Also, Q guys gives you bonus moon speed, so you can use this just to get back to lane faster, or when you want to gank as well. I don't recommend doing it when you're ganking, because you want to have it up when you're ganking, because it's like your CC, your hard CC ability, so you want to have this up. What you have to get really good on Aurelion Sol is the ability to like kite back and forth, so you make sure that the stars constantly hit the opponents. That can be pretty easy when you play against an immobile champion, but when you start playing against AD assassins and stuff, that's where it becomes difficult. So it's a champion where you have to put in a lot of games, but at the same time he will also reward you. Look at how I played the fight. I saved the Q, and you know that Z always appears right behind you from the initial spot. So if you time it well, you can use your Q right as he appears, and that's going to allow you to stun him, and then you follow up with the ultimate, because he will be inside the outer limit, meaning that he's gonna get knocked back, and then you can use this to kite him. So we're gonna get the first core component, the Ryla's Crystal Scepter. As I said, the reason you always buy this first as the fully finished item is because it is so important that Aurelion Sol can constantly kite people and keep them at a certain distance. And this item is the best at helping you with doing that. Because it is slow, so you can constantly kite people and then perma slow them with a W, your Q. And then you just slowly whittle them down. You can see the CC is pretty nice when you have this Rylas, and my bot lane went for a pretty bad play, ending with both of them dying, which is pretty unfortunate. You can see the damage is really nice now, so it's like in the mid game where he really starts coming online. And their ultimate to knock Zac back and to get the kill on the set. You see the range is pretty nice, and people don't really expect the playstyle of this champion, because like he has been in League for a long time, but at the same time he's never played. Like the only ones who play him are one tricks, meaning that people who only play Aurelion Sol, so it is a champion that people never see, so they don't really know what he does. And that is of course a big advantage if you want to pick him up. So we'll go ahead and reset. Now we're gonna get the Lost Chapter and the items towards the Everfrost, because that is even more utility. So your playstyle is like a roaming but also utility champion, where you constantly kite people, perma CC them, and try to be as annoying as possible, where you hit multiple people with the orbiting stars, so you perma slow them, and just generally try to be as annoying as you possibly can. You see, that's a big star right there, but then again, it's pretty easy to dodge if they have movement abilities, so you want to make sure that if you're going to use it this way, make sure that you can cover as big of a distance before you reach the lane, so it can get larger to the point where they cannot dodge it by moving. So I just hit bot lane here. There's a Zac and a assassin trying to assassinate my teammates. So you want to pick up waves in the side lane as well, not split pushing, but just to farm. It's not a champion that gets high CS per minute, because you focus a lot on roaming and impacting the map. There's a team fight going on. I'm still staying in the back line and an ultimate onto the Zac to get that finishing kill. I'm kiting a lot, like similar to like an AD carry, but at the same time you want to play around your cooldowns. So when you oh, that's a nice kill by the Vel'Koz. So when your Q and your W are on cooldown, you just back off with a bonus movement speed, and then you can re-engage when the spells are back up. So kiting back and forth like an AD carry is what you want to do. But the difference here is that you have cooldowns that you also have to play around. But really that E ability, guys, is so OP for roaming, so if you can abuse this on cooldown, then of course go for that. But if you're in a difficult matchup, you will not be able to do this all the time. But now we have enough gold for the Everfrost, so that is fun time. So what happens here is that when you have Everfrost, you can Q them into Everfrost, into ultimate, and there's like a Omega permanent CC where they're gonna be stuck at the same spot for a long time. That's a pretty unfortunate engage from the Zac, but it's cool. Our Kha'Zix is gonna get 2 kills, so we'll take that. That's actually super worth it. Because we're gonna, like, Aurelion is not a hard scaling champion, but he's still pretty useful later on, just as a kiting machine. He provides a lot of AoE damage and CC as well. So he starts becoming really effective when people start stacking up, where you can hit multiple people with the Everfrost, with the Q and the ultimate too. I have no idea what this Akshan was trying to do, so I'll just hit bot lane. Because if I keep going mid, then I will not get any CS. So I use this Q to get back to lane a little bit faster, because it gives you that bonus movement speed. So you can do this, but don't do this like in the super early game, because you don't have the mana pool to like sustain that. This wave clear can be pretty good, but at the same time it's like delayed wave clear. You cannot one-shot the wave instantly. It takes a little bit, but at the same time, like, it's pretty easy to wave clear too. So our teammates got a kill, so we'll just keep pushing bot side, getting the tower down here, because that's gonna open up the map even further. You can see when the stars rotate a lot faster with the W, that's why it becomes really easy to like push out the waves, but also DPS enemy champions. Because like with the passive stars, the damage is not that much. Tanking from the backside here. All of the Akshan backwards towards my teammates. Flashing in for that kill, and bam, that's a nice double kill. I was like dead anyway, so I just continued towards the Z, and that made it so Kha'Zix got the kill, so that play was super worth it. We ended up getting a double kill and got some stuff out, and also 3 kills for our team. So that should allow our teammates to get some free CS or objectives on the map. Now we got another core item, the Sonya's Hourglass. Because Aurelion Sol is immobile in a fight, you're not able to use your E in a fight, so you cannot get out. And also, if you like get damage or something, then he's gonna stop in that E. So he does not have any mobility, he only has the CC you get from the items and the Q. And the ultimate, so no real mobility. That means that Sonya's Hourglass just becomes that more important. Especially if you play against assassins. So yeah, that's an item that you want to get every single game. Getting a control ward down, clearing some vision out. Remember, you cannot camp in bushes because your passive stars will always make sure that you are revealed. Which is pretty annoying. I think they should definitely remove that. There's no point in it working this way because that's like a big nerf. And this Darius just gave up. He's like a really annoying matchup top lane, so it's understandable that he's not having a fun time. But at the same time, we're doing pretty well mid and jungle, so he should just play around us. So you can play him as a battle mage, where you stay in the backline, and then perma CC people like this. Oh, that's a pretty bad Everfrost. I think I misclicked it. I did not want to use it because I thought that the corrupting potion was in that item slot. Accidentally clicked it, but it's whatever. We were not able to help the Kha'Zix here. Because like then the other people would collapse. Got 2 people down. Oh, I should not have used the Sonya's. That's okay. I ended up dying, and the Vel'Koz is gonna get the kill, so it's alright. We're constantly getting a lot of kills, even though we are dying a lot recently. We're gonna build towards the death cap, because we already have 2 fully finished items, so it's super worth it to get that over the, what's it called, the Shadow Flame at this point. But if they have like a super tank team, then you can also get the Demonic Embrace. Because you get like some max health damage, which is gonna help you deal a lot more damage to high HP targets. Now that you have some points into E, it's gonna cover such a big distance, so you can like come in with a massive Q. And this can be really OP when you fight for objectives like the Dragon or the Baron, because like people will usually be stacked up in one position, and then if you hit like a multiple stun onto people, then that's GG's. That's game over. Now we got the Ocean Soul, really nice for that sustain. So hopefully we can turn that into objectives. But that of course also helps with that extended fights. Just stay in the side of the wave like this, guys. This is how you want to wave clear. But at the same time, also be careful if the enemy champion is there, because then they have very easy time to like hit you with their abilities. Just keep pushing it out. We have sustain from the Ocean Soul, so we don't have to worry about too much poke. We had engaged from the sack. But that is a free kill for me and the Kha'Zix too. And another kill on the Akshan. And the Assassin's also down, so now we can go for the Baron. You could also go for the mid lane, but the problem is that we only have like 2 minions with us, now 1 minion, so we would have to wait for this wave that's coming from the mid right now. So we're just gonna go for the Baron, and then we can use this to like break open the base with later on. Now the minions reach the mid lane tower, so that's a bit too late. That's why we're going for the Baron right now. We're gonna take down the Baron, and when we have that, then we can break open the base a lot more easily. I actually think I should not have pinged the blue buff, because like the jungler stopped his recall to take it. But that's a bit... Actually sucks a bit, because we need enough gold for the death cap. I could go ahead and sell the corrupting potion, but I think I'm just gonna pick up the wave here and then we can get it. Because that's a pretty big spike. And there we go, the death cap, that's a big AP spike, so now we have 600 AP, exactly. So he doesn't really have the best AP scaling, it's mostly his ultimate that has like a 70% AP scaling, and then we have the Q with 65, like the orbiting stars only have 35%, but it's still nice for like that burst damage, and also your W has like that consistent damage output, so any AP is good, and especially when you get a big boost of AP with a death cap, then that's really good. Another thing, like the passive stars had something like 25%. But that doesn't really matter that much, because at this point you're mostly using that active with the W. I'm gonna push it out in the bottom side. You can see how effective that ultimate is for disengaging, because it's gonna knock them towards the outer limit. And then if you time your Q with that at the same time, it's like chain CC where they cannot react to it. Like if they get hit by your ultimate, then they also get hit by your Q, which is guaranteed. So it's like a really OP double CCing combo that you should definitely use for like burst damage, but also to like shut down assassins. Using auto attacks is mostly important in the early game, in the laning phase to get electrocute procs, but also because they deal a decent amount of damage in the early game. But like in the mid to late game, it doesn't really matter. That's mostly important that you should W and like kite properly. Look at that size of that Q. You can like use it to damage people with the W, but also to like zone other people away. That's a really nice burst damage with the Kha'Zix Q and mine as well. Cutting around, taking down the last target. And bam, that is it. So that's how to play Aurelion Sol. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching and see you all next time.